Hello, and welcome to Talking Shop with CTECS. Hello, and welcome to another session of Talking Shop with CTECS. I am Ellen Solik, so proud to be the Interim Executive Director and Superintendent for this incredible organization known as CTECS. We are the Connecticut Technical Education System in the state of Connecticut, and we are the premier workforce provider in Connecticut for tech schools. And with me today, I have two very special guests. To my left, Mr. Jeff LeClaire. Mr. LeClaire is the Subaru University Education Manager. We're so proud to have you with us today, Jeff.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. And to Jeff's left, Mr. Lou Camacho, who is our expert and consultant in all things transportation and auto body and everything that has wheels and moves. Lou is our expert advisor and consultant. Welcome, Lou.
Thank you, Dr. Solik.
So we have so much to talk about, and today's show is really going to be focusing on training our future auto body workforce, both for the state of Connecticut and beyond. And so we have so much within this particular trade to talk about. The transition is lightning speed, as you know so well. And so let's talk just for a minute about Jeff, how did you get started with Subaru University? What is Subaru University? Because many of our listeners have never heard of it.
Well, Subaru University, it's a platform that includes web-based technical training, gives us the opportunity to introduce your students at the technical automotive programs in the state of Connecticut to our product, give them some product familiarization. We also give them access to all the technical information, which is real-world application. If they have a vehicle within the school curriculum that they're working on, that being a Subaru, of course, they have an opportunity to study firsthand how to go out and get engine specifications, what is a proper repair procedure. But we, like the other manufacturers, have recognized that we really are in desperate need of people to come into our industry. There's a dire shortage of new members of the auto technician team. We try to emphasize to these folks that we have an excellent platform, especially in Connecticut, the way the programs are structured. The schools do a very good job with their curriculum. They have the latest in automotive technical diagnostic equipment, and their instructors are well versed not only in the Subaru product, but in the other products in the transportation industry. So one of my primary goals is with the schools is to introduce to the students and get them comfortable having the opportunity to get into the web-based training. Now, the interesting point here is the web-based training that we offer the students is the exact same training that we offer the automotive technicians that are employed at the Subaru retailer. So if the student elects to participate and complete the courses and does take the opportunity to work with one of our retailers, the training is all transferable. It's actually transferable for life. So I try to work, again, with Lou and with your instructor base in identifying students that may want to come into our industry and specifically take a look at a work-based learning assignment at one of the Subaru retailers. And our goal is, this gives them an opportunity to test their skills that they've acquired at the school. And we've had very, very good luck with this, not only in Connecticut, but in the other 5 New England states. So we, are certainly glad to be a partner with CTECS.
Well, we are equally glad to have you as a partner. In fact, I happen to be a proponent of Subarus and the owner of a 2010 Outback, which is still purring down the highway, I'm glad to say. But Lou and I were chatting not too long ago and had a conversation about the difference in the level of technology and the level of function between my slow but steady 2010 and what's being produced these days. And Lou has so much background in the technology sector and what what is it that cars require and buyers require now? So it was a perfect synergy, really, when you at Subaru University came together with Lou and started talking about training our students and really providing that workforce opportunity for a technical field that's probably changing as quickly as IT, if not faster. Lou, just based on our conversation, you had talked earlier about the technology that's available now that we don't even realize is in our vehicles.
Exactly, and so a lot of the technology, that's my favorite type of technology, the one that's working behind the scenes that you don't even know is really helping the comfort and safety of the driver. It's this technology that turns down the radio when you come to a stop, so the radio is not too loud when the outside noise goes down. It's a technology that protects you from an accident, that automatically stops the car. Accident avoidance systems. There's the other alerts that remind you that if you're backing up, there's something behind you to apply the brake, or even it stops it itself. So these are all great features that are going to require a lot of experience and electrical expertise to fix these problems.
Absolutely. And so I was at the dealership the other day. I happened to know and love Quality Subaru down in Wallingford if anyone is looking for an excellent dealership to go to buy their next Subaru. And was talking with the service manager about an issue, small, that I had with my car. And he mentioned both Jeff, but more important, the students that we are now sending, thanks to Jeff and his program, to Quality Subaru and dealerships around Connecticut and Massachusetts, you had mentioned, even into New York, I believe. You do an amazing job, Jeff, monitoring what our students are doing, how they're doing, what their interests are. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because it's not a subject that really any of us knew a lot about until I met you.
Well, this Subaru University is a national program. I'm employed by Subaru of New England. We're the Subaru distributor for the 6 New England states, so I'm very familiar with the school structure and the students that we're able to place and retain within the retailer network. The goal is we don't bring a finished master technician to the retailer, and that's not the intent of the school system in Connecticut, but we do bring a student that has the fundamental skills and the ability to move to the next step from an educational point of view. We're looking for a student that aspires to be a technician. They certainly can move to a lot of different other job descriptions from that point on, but one that's willing to listen and learn. And one of the more important key is when they do get placed at a store, whether it be Quality Subaru or one of the other retailers in Connecticut, that they have a mentor assigned to them. In other words, a senior technician that they work side by side with. So they can take the skills that they've learned at any one of the 18 schools in Connecticut and expand on those. And we've had very, very good success with this. And our goal is to have a comfortable setting for the student. It's a work environment for them. And if you can visualize it, for many of them, this is a big first step. They're working in a position maybe 2 years earlier that they were cutting lawns in the neighborhood, and now they're working in the business world in a very fast-paced environment. But the opportunity is there for them if they want to achieve a higher level of performance as a technician. And I think Lou did a good job of describing why. Just the safety components in a vehicle. Subaru is certainly no different than the other manufacturers. We're noted for our safety and some of the components that we've installed in our vehicles at all level of the vehicle, whether it's one of the entry-level models or one of the more advanced models. But we have to have people that are skilled to work on these. And the one comment I always make is that take a look at one of your earlier vehicles when you got behind the steering wheel, just the change. Even in the comfort features, we haven't even talked about heated seats and things like navigation, rear cameras, rear backup cameras. There's just a lot of technology that somebody has got to be equipped to diagnose and repair as the vehicle ages. And sometimes things do happen to technology. We all know that. But we're very, very fortunate that the students that come out of the programs, that both the person to my left and right oversee, really are very well equipped to start and move at a very fast pace to be successful as an auto technician.
You know, there are so many benefits to this particular program, but one of the fundamental ones that Lou and I have also talked about is the need to increase the workforce across the state of Connecticut. We are the largest technical high school system, so this is why it's such a perfect partnership for us to be able to begin to develop that workforce that we can send out, as you said, whether it's to Subaru dealerships or even to community colleges for additional training going forward. And it is just amazing how quickly, how fast this is moving. But I wanted to mention that we had a conversation not too long ago with the president and the provost of what is now a community college system in Connecticut. You're probably very familiar with it. And at this particular point, they are looking to us as well to partner with students like the students we've sent to you through Subaru University, who are looking to enhance the trade that they're now interested in, and partner with, I believe we have a partnership at Gateway that you had mentioned earlier, as well as other community colleges. Have you been involved in that at all, Jeff, in
Yes,
terms
I
of
have.
those communications and what's happening in that side of things?
The two community colleges that have auto technology programs in Connecticut, communicate with them on a regular basis, both Naugatuck Valley and Gateway Community College. We're embedded in both schools, as are other auto manufacturers. But we've had a very successful partnership with both locations. But one of the activities that I take that, is kind of a byproduct of Subaru University, when I do meet with the students that we put in work-based learning assignment, or I'm registering a student into Subaru University, one of my topics of conversation, if they're comfortable in discussing it, is what's your next step? You've got a lot of resources within the state. You've got two excellent colleges that you could select if you want to pursue some additional training in auto technology. You can gain an associate's degree in auto technology, which really would prepare you down the road for many other positions within our industry or in an affiliated industry. We've been real successful, more so maybe in Connecticut than some of my other locations, with the students that we place. The retention rate has been very high, and I attribute a lot of that to the curriculum and the training that they get from the various instructors, and again, when they get into a position, if they are selected for work-based learning, the outcome, when you mold all those factors, training, curriculum, work-based learning, the retention rate has been very high. And it's, for me, it is a very competitive world out there. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. We have people who do what I do with the other manufacturers, but I try to look at the student and the school first and forget about, my competitive relationships with a person from Ford and so forth. But, our goal is to see these folks succeed. We need them. There's an opportunity for them. We have to ensure that when they do get placed at one of our retailers, that they do have, I mentioned the mentor, that they do have a career path designed for them. What's the next step? Where do I go? If I start working in the express lane and I work with the mentor, what is my expectation for the next step in my career path? So all those factors really they're absolutely essential to the success of the student, in the ability for the next student to come on board from a reputation point of view, that this retailer does a great job in working with a student, and this school turns out a very, very qualified person who really has the desire to learn and succeed.
You make such a great point, Jeff, because we all have a choice in terms of what and who our focus becomes. And I think one of the reasons that Subaru University is so successful in terms of its partnership with us, including you and your efforts, is your focus, you mentioned, on collectively on students and the fit that those placements for students have, right, at the different dealerships, and what it is, as you were just saying, that our students really want to gear themselves towards as they finish with CTECS and with Subaru University. And that's, I think, the key to success, both for our students and also programmatically for what we do in partnership. So that it's just so great to hear you say that, because I don't know if people really realize that. As you said so well, the dealerships need a focus, your competitors are looking for a focus, and yet through all that, you remain focused on our students. So it's a wonderful opportunity for them. So Lou, question for you. What kind of activities are taking place in our auto body classrooms, really, that mirrors some of the things that we've been talking about, not only just with Subaru University, but outside the general auto industry?
Certainly. So we just had recently a professional development, a training for our teachers back in November, where we did some training on a device that calibrates all of the sensors and cameras on vehicles. And so teachers were able to watch and observe this unit and trained on it. And it's something we're going to purchase for our school. So because anytime a mirror, a bumper, any of those items are removed, even a windshield, everything needs to be calibrated again. And if you think about it, if a camera or radar system is just a tiny bit off over the course of 100 or 200 feet, it's way off. And that's something that anything that the manufacturer recommends, that any kind of work, even taking a grill off of a car, has to be calibrated once again. And so we looked at some training on that. We have Subaru-U has got some great modules on hybrid vehicles and some of those ADAS system trainings. We're utilizing manufacturer training. We also use a software called Electude. So Electude is something we recently purchased for all of our automotive programs, where it's a simulator. It's kind of like a textbook come to life, and so the student reviews the text work, the work, and then has an ability to go in and actually, almost like a video game, you can actually start the car and run tests on this simulated running engine, which is very, very neat.
It's amazing, both the technology piece of that and also the exact science that it requires. And many of us, including me, we don't stop to think about that. As you said, the calibration required and some of the real detail work that goes into it. One of the pieces that we talked about before our show this afternoon was the wonderful way in which Subaru University is kind of merged with the major curricular areas in our auto body shops to make sure that students are able to tap into the curriculum that they're already engaged in our classrooms as part of Subaru University. And Lou mentioned the hybrid engine and what that requires. How much hybrid work are our students able to do within the classroom at this point, Lou, or is that a work in progress?
So we are adding, gradually adding more and more. But right now we're as an entry-level graduate, entry-level technician, just having an overview of the basic components and primarily the safety, because as Jeff mentioned, we have a hybrid vehicle that still has an internal combustion engine, so they might be doing some service on that engine or brake work or tires. But it's important that student knows where the components are that are potentially could be dangerous and how to handle those things.
So it's really a safety focus as well.
It is for sure, safety focus,
Yeah.
and then again, with a good foundation of electricity, they'll continue on to continue their education when they join a manufacturer and get further training on that specific brand of vehicle.
We had the opportunity not too long ago to apply for a significant grant. And Lou Camacho found out about this particular grant in pursuit of a brand new fleet of electric buses for CTECS. And not only did Lou fill out the grant and submit the grant, which was quite an extensive process, but he garnered a little over $7 million in funding for us for a fleet of buses that are now going to be electric. And obviously, pardon the pun, but electric vehicles are the buzz these days. So I want to start to pull us into that conversation a little bit. Lou, can you tell us a little bit more about that process and really what you see as the benefits are going forward in terms of the electric bus transportation opportunities and the infrastructure that we're going to require to support those buses?
Sure. So we did apply for the grant, and we were one of 4 districts in Connecticut there were over 2,000 districts nationwide that applied, and only about 300, just under 400, were able to get that, successfully achieve that grant. And so we were selected, and we were receiving $7.6 million for buses and infrastructure. And so we're still discussing some of the infrastructure and how to use best use the funding, which school it makes the most sense to install the infrastructure. And we're going to roll out hopefully next school year 25 new electric buses, and these buses are going to be used for clinical, with the health trades, production, and athletics. I'm really excited about them. I actually got to drive in one of the new electric buses, and I'm just really excited about it. I think it's going to help. One of the things that is now required is there are certain communities in Connecticut that have been determined to be environmental justice communities, and so these communities, and we have 9 of our schools are in these communities. They need to switch their fleet to electric by 2030, which is only 7 years from now.
And that's really, from a Subaru perspective, that's what fascinates me, is how do we train a student workforce at lightning speed not only to work on these wonderful new vehicles, but we talked about hybrid vehicles as well, and how those are a part already of CTECS curriculum and Subaru University's curriculum as well for students. But how are we going to not only train our students to work on these electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, but perhaps even more important, how do we train them in terms of upgrading and installing all of the infrastructure that's required to support this mode of transportation, as Lou mentioned, under a 7 to 10 year period? It almost seems impossible, but what are some of the thoughts going forward from your perspective, Jeff, on all this?
That is quite a question. It's a question it's really been very visible, especially with somebody in Lou's capacity. And I do, as I mentioned earlier, go to a variety of schools in the 6 New England states. And in the secondary education group, the technical high schools, the CTECS, the 18 schools in Connecticut, will probably take a different approach than some of the other schools. I will give you, my feeling on it. EV, hybrid, it's going to be part of everybody's life, and I don't think it'll be in the not too distant future. Probably one of the vehicles in your driveway will meet one of the criteria of either a hybrid vehicle and or electric. So we do have to prepare the students for this transition from internal combustion engine into a new hybrid or electric vehicle. The concern we have, and the biggest concern, is we have to ensure that there's a safety element applied. I think everybody who's an audience today can well understand that, when we're dealing with high voltage electricity, there's some safety components on that vehicle that really could be a challenge for somebody who is not well versed on the electrical issues and the dynamics. So I think the first thing, we have to take a look at safety and then take a look at theory. As the unit and operation base increases with EV, and it's going to very rapidly, not only with the Subaru, but with the other manufacturers, we're probably going to have to accelerate what we make available to the training. But I think we have to pretty much walk slowly before we run on this. And I know the way Lou conducts the programs with the schools is safety is the primary element, but we also have to create the theory. A student who is out in a work-based learning assignment, there is a good chance that they may have a hybrid vehicle that comes in for service, and as we all know, hybrid still has an internal combustion engine as part of the drivetrain, but there's still some components in the vehicle that would really have quite a bit of electrical current to apply to the hybrid portion of the operation. So we in Subaru University have put some courses in, one being hybrid safety, which I think is a must for any of the students to take and have access to. And we will start embedding other classes with respect to EV as we proceed throughout the next year. But the goal is, how does it operate? How does it function? And this is really something, it's new. It's new to a lot of the instructors. They'll require some training as well on the product. And I'm looking forward to the change. I think it's a change. I think it was described by Lou with just the electric bus in the 9 communities in Connecticut. I mean, it's here. It's going to be part of our life. We're all going to be operating these vehicles. So obviously there's going to be a need for service, and we need to be prepared to address the needs. And again, we'll walk before we run. And I think that's the best approach. Safety first, theory, before we get into actual application of, dismantling components and or testing them. That's the route that I think we'll see with the majority of the secondary schools. And the manufacturers will probably take a very strong alliance as to who works on these vehicles when they get to the stores.
I was just thinking as you were talking, Jeff, that Lou really focuses in with the current auto body work that we're doing throughout the schools on different certifications and specialized trainings that our students work on within the auto body industry. Safety being a huge component of that. And it's such an important factor. And I think if there's any trepidation to be had out there in terms of electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, quite honestly, it is that. It's, all those unanswered questions still. But it will be an amazing journey to see both technology and the infrastructure to support those electric vehicles, how quickly it just transpires. And knowing our students, they'll pick up on it much more quickly than we ever would.
Very
I think.
true.
I think they see that world in very different terms. Jeff, as you talk with our students about the needs going forward in terms of training, in terms of the transition to electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, what are some of the things that you hear that our students may comment on in terms of how we better transition for their needs?
The students, they ask some very pointed questions about their future as far as some of the serviceability. As an example, we're not doing oil and filter changes anymore in an electric vehicle. We have regenerative braking, so some of the brake life is longer than what we've experienced in the past. However, some of the tire life may not be quite as long, so there still will be plenty of service opportunities within the vehicle, but I think that's one of the, probably one of the larger questions, where do I fit? Where does my long-term career plan go with the advent and the increase in the UIO unit in operation population of EV vehicles? I meet a lot of your students. I'm very confident in these folks. They're young, they're aggressive, they're smart, and certainly, very computer literate. I think they're going to rise to the occasion, as we did in various other topics that we, had to participate in at their age. And change is here. You can accept it as good, or you can challenge it. But I think this is a positive change, and I really think meeting your students, meeting your instructors, working with them, I think you folks are in a good position to respond to the new market.
What do you think, Jeff, in terms of their interest specifically in Subaru University? What is it that you really think engages them? Is it the program or the brand, or a little of both?
I think it's a little of both. I mean, we do offer a brand that's it's very diversified in the sense for all age groups and all types of driving, but we do extremely well in New England with the passenger car market share. And I'm not going to sit here and give you a lot of statistics, but we're very, very proud of the fact that we're number 2 in passenger car registrations for this calendar year. And we've had a history of being number 3 for the previous 9 years. So the reason I'm mentioning that number is that transitions to service opportunities. Our Subaru retailers in the New England states, and most especially in Connecticut, have made considerable investments in creating a dynamic work environment for a student to consider. If they were to take a look at some of the stores and take a look at the equipment investment, the working conditions, is mentioned by you, And Lou, there's a great ladder in the employment range where they can move on to various other functions within the industry. But I tell the students, and I tell your students specifically, because I know the programs down here, is you couldn't be in a better place with the opportunities to acquire skills in the transportation industries, as well as merge it with the academic programs, which I think really deserve a little recognition here for what you do here in Connecticut. It's a combination of both that really is essential in preparing the student for a career path in life. But the most important thing is the foundation in the direction you can take from that point forward, whether it's post-secondary school, military, workplace. Obviously I'm partial to Subaru, and this is why I really try to ensure those students that are interested, we get them into a work-based learning assignment. I think the students of the future will take a look at some of the technology that they're going to be asked to work on, and I really think that's going to address an interest in a different level of student that's going to come forward to register for your program. So I'm pretty excited about what I see down here, and it's always an enjoyable trip because I know I'm going to have a good day when I come into Connecticut to one of your schools, meeting with your students, meeting with your instructors. And for those viewers today, the schools do an excellent job in preparing the students. If you have a student in your family, I would consider they look at the programs, and certainly look at automotive. There's no place but going forward and going fast in the sense of a career path if they have the skills. And you two folks and your staff have done a great job in giving that opportunity to the residents in the state, to their sons and daughters.
Well, I couldn't have said it better. Our staff does a phenomenal job, and even the auto body shops themselves at CTECS really in so many ways mirror what I see. As I mentioned, I go to Quality Subaru for service, and just the cleanliness, the focus on those customer service skills, the way the shops are set up, we try very hard to mirror what it is that industry is looking for. And you mentioned academics as well as a needed piece of what our auto body students and all our students are focused on. Our students actually are asked to excel in academics as well as their trade. So we are presenting to them a pretty demanding program, and we're so glad to hear that it fits so well with what Subaru is looking for. And you have just summed it up perfectly. It is such a pleasure to have a conversation like this with both of you today. I wish we had another hour. There's so many other things that we could talk about. So I'd love to invite you back, both at some point. We can cover some more topics, but suffice it to say we've learned so much about the electric vehicle industry and about how CTECS really fits together with the world of auto body and automotive and busing, all of that combined. So my thanks to you both for sharing your knowledge and your enthusiasm about moving forward, as do our students. And thank you both.
It was a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.